The morning started like any other aboard the research ship Gentle Current. Dr. Kethara moved through the crystal corridors with slow, careful steps. Her species had no need to rush. The Zephyrians had learned long ago that patience brought better results than haste. She entered the main lab and looked out at the view screen. Jupiter filled most of the display, its red spot swirling like a painted eye. Beyond the giant planet, a small blue dot caught the light of the distant sun, Earth, the world that had captured her people's attention for months now. Still watching the Deathworld? Her assistant, Venthala, asked. The younger Zephyrian's voice carried a mix of fear and wonder. It fascinates me, Kethara replied. How does life survive on such a violent planet? The storms, the earthquakes, the diseases. Yet they create such beautiful things. She touched a control panel and the screen changed. Music filled the air. A human symphony played through their speakers. The notes rose and fell like waves, carrying emotions that made her chest tight with feeling. They write songs about their pain, she whispered. They make art from their struggles. I have never seen anything like it. Venthala moved closer to the controls. The council still debates whether we should make contact. Some say they are too dangerous. Look at this. Kethara pulled up another file. Images of human cities appeared on the screen. Tall buildings reached toward the sky. Gardens bloomed between concrete towers. Children played in parks while their parents watched with careful eyes. They build beauty even in the hardest places, she said. They protect their young with fierce love. They are not monsters. They are survivors who refuse to let their world break their spirits. The ship's computer chimed softly. Sensor array operating at 60%, it announced in their musical language. Kethara frowned. We need better readings if we want to understand their communication patterns. Can you boost the signal? I can try. Venthala moved to the sensor controls. Her fingers danced over the crystalline buttons. Rerouting power from the engine systems, increasing gain by 40%. The ship hummed as energy flowed to the sensor array. Numbers scrolled across their screens as the equipment reached deeper into space. Radio waves from Earth became clearer. Television signals grew stronger. The voices of 6 billion humans whispered through the void. Perfect, Kethara breathed. Now we can really listen to them. But something went wrong. A power surge ran through the ship's systems. Warning lights began to flash in soft, gentle colors that wouldn't hurt Zephyrian eyes. The computer's voice remained calm, as all Zephyrian technology was designed to be. Emergency beacon activated, it said pleasantly. Distress signal broadcasting, on all frequencies. What? Venthala's hands flew over the controls. I didn't touch the emergency systems. The power surge must have triggered it, Kethara said. She tried to stay calm, but her heart was beating faster. Can you turn it off? I'm trying. Venthala's usually steady voice cracked with worry. The beacon is locked in active mode. It won't respond to shutdown commands. On Earth, far below, machines designed to listen for signals from space suddenly came alive. Radio telescopes swung toward Jupiter. Computer screens filled with data. And in a deep bunker beneath Colorado, alarms began to sound. Captain Jake Morrison was drinking coffee when the alert came through. He set down his cup and read the message on his screen. His face went pale. Get me Admiral Carter, he said to his aide. Now. The distress signal was weak but clear. It came from the direction of Jupiter, transmitted on frequencies that Earth had been broadcasting for decades. Someone out there had learned human languages well enough to send a message. Help us, the signal said in broken English. Life support failing. Engines not working. We are dying. Then it repeated in Spanish. Ayúdanos. Sistemas de vida fallando. Then French. Aidez-nous. Support vie en panne. Every major Earth language carried the same desperate plea. Admiral Lisa Carter arrived at the command center within minutes. She was a small woman with gray hair and steel in her eyes. She had spent 30 years protecting humanity from threats both human and unknown. How long has this been broadcasting? She asked. 17 minutes, Morrison replied. It's coming from Jupiter space. Range approximately 400 million miles. Any idea who sent it? No, ma'am. But they know our languages. They know our radio frequencies. And they're asking for help. Carter studied the data streaming across the screens. Her mind raced through possibilities. First contact, alien refugees, a trap. None of it mattered right now. How fast can we get a rescue fleet to Jupiter? She asked. 12 hours to assemble, Morrison said. 18 hours flight time at maximum burn. Too long. Carter turned to face the room full of officers. I want every available ship ready. For launch in 6 hours. Battleships, destroyers, hospital ships, supply vessels, everything. Ma'am, a young lieutenant spoke up. Shouldn't we try to communicate first? Find out what we're dealing with? Carter's expression was hard as stone. Lieutenant, someone is dying out there. They asked for help in our own languages. We don't abandon people who cry for help, ever. She moved to the communication station. Send a message to all fleet commanders. Operation Golden Rescue is now active. Priority Alpha. We have possible alien survivors in distress near Jupiter. Full military escort authorized. Back on the gentle current, Cathara watched in growing horror as their sensors detected the human response. Ships were launching from Earth. Dozens of them. Her instruments showed massive energy signatures, weapon arrays, and armor thick enough to stop meteor impacts. They think we're under attack, she whispered. They're sending warships to rescue us. Venthala stared at the readings. How many ships? 48 and counting. Cathara's voice was barely audible. They're coming with enough firepower to destroy a moon. The two aliens looked at each other in the soft light of their peaceful ship. Neither spoke the thought that filled both their minds. The Deathworlders had heard their cry for help, and they were coming with the full fury of their violent nature to save them. The rescue fleet that humanity saw as an act of compassion looked like an invasion force to the gentle beings who had accidentally called for help. The human fleet moved through space like a pack of steel wolves. Commander Alex Rodriguez stood on the bridge of his destroyer, watching the stars shift as they burned toward Jupiter at speeds that would have killed any human not protected by artificial gravity. How long until we reach the distress signal? He asked his navigator. 16 hours, sir. We're pushing the engines as hard as they'll go. Rodriguez nodded. Around him, his crew worked with the smooth efficiency that came from years of training. They had drilled for this exact situation hundreds of times. Rescue mission in hostile space. Unknown aliens. Possible combat. Status report on the medical teams, Rodriguez ordered. Lieutenant Sarah Jones looked up from her station. All hospital. Ship's report ready. We have trauma surgeons, xenobiologists, and emergency medical supplies for 1,000 casualties. Dr. Foster says her team can handle any alien biology we might encounter. Good. What about the engineering crews? Repair ships are loaded with spare parts for every known propulsion system. If their engines are dead, we can fix them or tow them home. Rodriguez felt pride swell in his chest. This was what humanity did best. When someone was in trouble, they came running with everything they had. It didn't matter if the victims were human or alien. A cry for help was a cry for help. Behind him, Sergeant Mike Turner worked at the communications station. His job was to try reaching the distress signal, but so far he had gotten no response. The same message kept repeating over and over. Help. Us, life support failing. Engines not working, we are dying. Still no contact, sir, Turner reported. They might be too weak to respond, or maybe their communication system is damaged. Keep trying, Rodriguez said. They need to know help is coming. On the flagship Defiance, Admiral Carter studied the tactical display. Red dots showed the positions of her ships, 48 vessels in perfect formation, each one ready for battle if needed. She had brought enough firepower to fight a war, but she hoped they would only need it to clear debris or drive off whatever had attacked the aliens. Any word from Earth Command? She asked. Captain Morrison shook his head. They're monitoring the situation. The president wants hourly updates. The whole world is watching. Carter understood the weight of the moment. This was first contact with alien life. Everything they did in the next few hours would be remembered forever. They had. To get it right. What do we know about the signal source, she asked. Long-range sensors show a single ship near Jupiter's orbit, Morrison replied. Small vessel, maybe a research craft. No obvious weapons. No other ships in the area. So they're alone out there. Carter frowned. What could have disabled them? Engine failure? Attack by unknown hostiles? Unknown, ma'am. We'll know more when we arrive. Miles away on the gentle current, Dr. Cathara felt sick to her stomach. The human fleet was getting closer, and their sensors were getting better readings on the approaching ships. What they saw terrified them. Look at this, Venthala whispered, pointing at their screens. Each ship has enough weapons to level a city. Those aren't rescue vessels, they're warships. Cathara studied the data. The human ships were built like fortresses. Thick armor covered their hulls. Missile ports dotted their sides. Energy weapons capable of melting asteroids sat in rotating turrets. Why would they need such terrible weapons for a rescue? She asked. Maybe they're not coming to rescue us, Venthala said quietly. Maybe they're coming to capture us. The thought made Cathara's blood run cold. Her people had studied human history through their radio transmissions. Wars, conquests, empires built on the bones of the defeated. The humans were survivors from a death world, and they had learned to fight for everything they had. We should run, Venthala said. Our engines still work. We could escape to hyperspace. And go where? Cathara asked. Our home is 6 months away at best speed. We don't have the supplies, and if we run, they might follow us. They might find our world. Both aliens fell silent. The weight of their mistake pressed down on them like a physical thing. They had wanted to study the fascinating humans from a safe distance. Now they had accidentally invited the galaxy's most dangerous predators to come find them. What are we going to do? Venthala asked. Before Cathara could answer, their communication system crackled to life. A new voice came through the speakers. It was rough and deep, speaking in what their translator identified as English. Unknown vessel, this is Commander Rodriguez of the Earth Rescue Fleet. We received your distress signal. Help is coming. Repeat, help is coming. Hold on. The message repeated in Spanish, then French, then Chinese. The same words in a dozen human languages. But to the Zephyrians, it sounded like a threat. Earth Rescue Fleet? Venthala translated the words with growing horror. They call themselves a rescue fleet, but look at their ships. Those are weapons of war. Cathara tried to think clearly. Maybe the translation was wrong. Maybe the humans had a different word for their military forces. But the evidence was right there on their screens. 48 warships approaching at maximum speed. They're trying to trick us, she said finally. They want us to think they're here to help. But no one brings planet-killer weapons to a rescue mission. The communication came again. This time the voice was different, softer, female. This is Dr. Amy Foster aboard the medical ship Mercy. We have trauma teams standing by. Emergency supplies are ready. Whatever happened to you, we're going to fix it. Just hold on a little longer. Venthala looked at the scanner readings. The ship they call Mercy has enough firepower to crack a continent. What kind of medical ship needs weapons like that? The kind that comes from a death world, Cathara whispered. She moved to their own communication panel. Her hands shook as she opened a channel to the Zephyrian homeworld. If she was going to die, her people needed to know what had happened. This is Dr. Cathara of the research vessel Gentle Current, she broadcast. We have made a terrible mistake. Our emergency beacon activated by accident. The humans heard our signal. They are coming with a war fleet, 48 ships armed with planet-destroying weapons. They say they come to rescue us, but we know better. If we do not return, know that we died trying to understand them. Do not attempt to retrieve our bodies. Do not come here. The Deathworlders have found us. She closed the channel and looked at Venthala. Now we wait. Outside their peaceful ship, the human rescue fleet drew closer, ready to save alien lives with the full military might of Earth behind them. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Jupiter like a thunderclap in the void. 48 warships materialized in perfect formation, their engines glowing like angry stars. The sight would have been beautiful if it hadn't been so terrifying to the two aliens watching from their small research vessel. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, studying the tactical display. His weapons officer, Lieutenant Ben Collins, was already scanning for threats. "Sensor sweep complete, sir," Collins reported. "I count one alien vessel approximately 2 kilometers in length. No weapons detected, no other ships in the area." Morrison frowned. "Where are the hostiles? What attacked them?" "Unknown, sir. Space appears clear of enemy vessels." "Maybe we scared them off," Morrison said. "Or maybe they left after disabling the alien ship." He turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to all ships. Yellow alert. Stay sharp. We don't know what we're dealing with." Across the fleet, human crews prepared for anything. Medical teams readied their equipment. Engineers checked their tools. Marines loaded their weapons just in case. They had come to save lives, but they were ready to fight if something tried to stop them. On the gentle current, Dr. Kithara watched the human ship spread out around them. To her eyes, it looked like a predator surrounding its prey. The massive vessels moved with deadly grace, their weapon systems tracking across space. "They're surrounding us," Venthala whispered. "Classic attack formation." "Maybe they're just being careful," Kithara said, but she didn't believe it herself. "Maybe they want to protect us from whatever they think attacked us." "Look at their ships," Venthala pointed at the display. "Every one of them could destroy our entire home fleet. Why would they need so much firepower for a rescue?" Before Kithara could answer, their communication system came alive. A new voice spoke, clear and strong. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Morrison of the Earthship Defiance. We are here to help. Please respond if you are able." The message was calm and professional, but to the Zephyrians it sounded like a demand for surrender. They had studied human military communications. They knew how human commanders spoke before an attack. "Should we answer?" Venthala asked. "We have to," Kithara said. "If we don't respond, they might think we're already dead. They might just take our ship." She activated their transmitter with shaking hands. "This is Dr. Kithara of the research vessel Gentle Current. We hear you." Across space, the humans celebrated. First contact had been made. On the Defiance, Captain Morrison smiled for the first time in hours. "Excellent," he said. "Open a channel to Dr. Foster. Tell her to prepare for first contact procedures." Dr. Amy Foster was the fleet's head of xenobiology. She had spent her whole career preparing for this moment. When the call came, she was already suiting up in her environmental gear. "This is incredible," she said to her team. "Real aliens. We're about to make history." She moved to the communication station and activated the transmitter. "Dr. Kithara, this is Dr. Amy Foster. I'm a scientist like you. We're here to help. Can you tell us what happened to your ship?" On the Gentle Current, the aliens looked at each other in confusion. The human sounded friendly, but they could see her ship on their sensors. It was armed with enough weapons to sterilize a planet. "What do we tell them?" Venthala whispered. "The truth, I guess," Kithara replied. She keyed the transmitter. "Dr. Foster, our emergency beacon activated by accident. We are not actually in danger. Our ship is fine." The words hit the human fleet like a physical blow. In the communication centers of 48 ships, officers stared at their displays in confusion. Did they just say they're not in danger? Commander Rodriguez asked his communication officer. "Yes, sir. They say their distress signal was an accident." "Then why are they still broadcasting it?" "Good question." On the Gentle Current, the aliens were asking themselves the same thing. Their emergency beacon was still sending its desperate message across space. "Help us. Life support failing. We are dying." Dr. Foster's voice came through their speakers. Again. "Dr. Kithara, your distress signal is still active. Our instruments show critical system failures aboard your vessel. Are you sure you're not in danger?" Kithara tried to explain. "We had a power surge. It activated our emergency systems. We cannot turn them off, but we are safe. We do not need rescue." To the humans, this sounded like classic shock behavior. Survivors often claimed they were fine when they were clearly in mortal danger. Dr. Foster had seen it before in human disaster zones. "Dr. Kithara, we understand you may be confused or frightened. That's normal. We're going to send a medical Team to check on you. Everything will be fine. The word struck terror into both aliens. A medical team meant boarding parties. Armed humans would enter their ship. They would be captured, studied, probably dissected. No, Cathara said quickly. Please, we do not need medical attention. We are healthy. Please leave us alone. Lieutenant Collins looked up from his scanner. Captain, I'm reading elevated stress indicators from the alien ship. Heart rates are increasing. They appear to be in distress. Morrison nodded grimly. They're scared, probably traumatized by whatever attacked them. Dr. Foster, prepare your team for emergency boarding. They need help whether they think they do or not. Dr. Foster was already gathering her people. Understood, Captain. We'll have a full medical team ready in 10 minutes. She activated the ship-wide communication system. All medical personnel, to Docking Bay 3. Emergency first contact protocols are now in effect. Full environmental suits, medical scanners, and emergency supplies. We may be dealing with traumatized survivors. On the gentle current, the aliens watched in growing horror as one of the human ships moved closer. They could see shuttle bays opening. Small craft were being prepared for launch. They're coming aboard, Venthala said in a voice barely above a whisper. The Deathworlders are coming to take us. Cathara activated their long-range transmitter, one final time. This is Dr. Cathara to any Zephyrian vessels. We are about to be boarded by human military forces. They claim to be medical personnel, but their ships are weapons of war. If you receive this message, warn the Council. The humans are not what they seem. They use rescue as an excuse for conquest. Do not trust them. Do not. The transmission cut off as Dr. Foster's shuttle left the human ship, carrying a team of doctors and scientists toward what they thought was a rescue mission. Neither side understood what the other was really doing. The humans came to save lives. The aliens prepared to die. First contact was about to begin, and both species had it. Completely wrong. Dr. Amy Foster's shuttle docked with the alien vessel with a soft thump that echoed through both ships. She wore a full environmental suit, her helmet displaying readings from a dozen different sensors. Behind her, 3 other humans carried medical equipment that looked strange and threatening to alien eyes. Remember, she said to her team over the radio, we don't know their biology. Move slowly. Speak softly. They've been through trauma. Chief Petty Officer Tony Baker carried a large case of repair tools. Should we fix their engines first, Doc? That distress signal is still broadcasting. Medical evaluation comes first, Foster replied. If they're injured, we need to know before we do anything else. The airlock cycled open with a hiss. The humans stepped into a corridor that looked like it was made of crystal and light. Everything curved and flowed like frozen water. Soft music played from hidden speakers and the air smelled like flowers. Beautiful, Foster whispered. Then she activated her external speakers. Dr. Cathara, we're here to help. Around the corner, both aliens pressed themselves against the wall. Cathara's hearts were beating so fast she could barely think. The humans had invaded their ship. Armed figures in battle armor were walking through their home. They're in environmental suits, Venthala whispered. They expect biological warfare. They think our very air is a weapon, or they plan to use biological weapons on us, Cathara replied. They're protecting themselves so they can safely torture us for information. The humans moved deeper into the ship, their heavy boots echoing on the crystal floors. To Foster, the ship was a work of art. To the aliens, the sound of human footsteps was like thunder in their peaceful world. Scan shows 2 life forms ahead, Foster's medical officer reported. Elevated heart rates, high stress indicators. They're definitely in shock. Foster nodded. Standard trauma response. Let's approach carefully. She rounded the corner and saw them for the first time. 2 tall, graceful beings with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. They looked like living works of art, beautiful and delicate. They were also clearly terrified. Hello, Foster said gently, removing her helmet to show her human face. I'm Dr. Amy Foster. Are you injured? Are you in pain? Cathara stared at the human's exposed face. The creature had removed its protective helmet. Either it was supremely confident in its biological weapons, or it was showing trust. She couldn't decide which was worse. "We are not injured," she said carefully. "We do not need medical assistance." Foster smiled, which made her look friendly to human eyes but showed her teeth to the aliens. On a world without predators, the sight of exposed teeth was terrifying. "I understand you might be confused," Foster said. "That's normal after what you've been through. Can you tell me what attacked you? We need to know so we can protect you." "Nothing attacked us," Cathara said. "Our emergency beacon activated by accident. We are researchers. We were studying your world from a safe distance." Behind Foster, Tony Baker was examining the walls with obvious interest. "Incredible engineering," he said. "Doc, look at this crystal matrix. It's like they grew the whole ship instead of building it." His enthusiasm sounded like analysis for conquest to the aliens. They watched him run his hands over their walls and shuddered. The human was learning their technology, so his people could steal it. "Can you show us your engine room?" Baker asked cheerfully. "I bet I can fix whatever's wrong with your beacon. Might need to blow some containment seals to vent the plasma buildup, but that's easy enough." Venthala nearly fainted. The human engineer was talking about explosives and plasma weapons. They were going to destroy the ship with everyone on it. "Please," Cathara said desperately. "You do not understand. We are peaceful. We have no weapons. We cannot fight you. Just take what you want and leave our world alone." Foster looked confused. "Take what we want? We're here to help you. Your distress signal said you were dying." "Our distress signal is broken," Cathara tried to explain. "We cannot turn it off, but we are not dying. We do not need rescue." "Doctor Foster," her medical officer said quietly, "I'm reading severe stress trauma, classic symptoms of post-attack shock. They probably don't remember what happened to them." Foster nodded sadly. She had seen this before in human disaster zones. Survivors who claimed they were fine, while their bodies told a different story. Back on the Defiance, Captain Morrison was growing impatient. "Status report, Dr. Foster." "The aliens appear to be in severe psychological shock, Captain. They claim nothing attacked them, but their distress signal is still active. I think they've blocked out the traumatic memories." "Understood. Can you help them?" "We're trying, sir, but they're refusing medical treatment. They seem to think we're here to hurt them." Morrison frowned. "Maybe they've been conditioned by their attackers. Stockholm Syndrome. Do what you have to do, Doctor. We're not leaving them to die." On the alien ship, Dr. Helen Price was trying a different approach. She was a civilian interpreter who had volunteered for the mission. Unlike the military personnel, she had no weapons, no armor, and no medical equipment. She just had curiosity and patience. "Dr. Cathara," she said softly, "can you tell me about your people? What are you called?" "We are Zephyrians," Cathara replied, surprised by the gentleness in the human's voice. "That's a beautiful name. And your ship? It's incredible. Did you really grow it?" Despite her fear, Cathara felt a flicker of pride. "Yes. Our bioengineers cultivate the crystal matrices over many years. Each ship is unique like a living thing." Price smiled. "We build our ships from metal and composites, much more brutal than your way. Your world must be very peaceful to create such beauty." "It is," Cathara said. "We have no wars, no violence, no need for weapons." Something in Price's expression changed. A look of understanding crossed her face. "Dr. Cathara, when you look at our ships, what do you see?" "Weapons of war," Cathara whispered. "Instruments of conquest. Ships built to destroy worlds." Price turned to Foster. "Doctor, I think I know what's happening here. They're not traumatized by an attack. They're traumatized by us." "What do you mean?" "Look at it from their perspective. They come from a peaceful world. They accidentally send a distress signal, and we respond with a fleet of warships. To them, we look like an invasion force." Foster stared at the aliens with new understanding. "Oh my God, they think we're here to conquer them." "And we keep talking about medical procedures and fixing their ship," Price continued. To a species that's never seen violence, that probably sounds like torture and sabotage. The truth hit the humans like a physical blow. They had come to rescue innocent aliens, but they looked like monsters to a people who had never known war. "What do we do?" Foster asked. Before Price could answer, alarms began blaring on both ships. Something was approaching from deep space. Something big, and it was coming fast. The alarms stopped as quickly as they had started. Lieutenant Ben Collins looked up from his scanner with confusion on his face. "False alarm, Captain. The approaching signature was just debris from Jupiter's rings. Solar wind pushed it into our sensor range." Captain Morrison relaxed, but something had changed in the few minutes of alarm. On the alien ship, Dr. Helen Price had used the distraction to pull Dr. Foster aside. "We need to start over," Price said quietly. "Everything we've done has made them more scared. We look like an invasion force to them." Foster looked at the two aliens huddled against the far wall. "But we're here to help them." "I know that. You know that. But they don't know that. Think about it from their side. They come from a world with no violence, no weapons, no wars. To them, our rescue ships look like the scariest things in the universe." Foster began to understand. "So when we offer medical help, they think we're planning to experiment on them. When Tony talks about fixing their engines, they think he's planning to sabotage their ship. When you show your teeth in a smile, they see the fangs of a predator." Foster felt sick to her stomach. "We've been terrorizing them. Not on purpose, but yes." Price looked at the aliens with sad eyes. "They probably think they're about to die." Dr. Foster took a deep breath and approached the aliens again. This time she moved very slowly, keeping her hands visible and her face calm. "Dr. Kithara," she said softly, "I think we need to talk. Really talk. Will you help me understand your people?" Kithara looked at the human with surprise. The creature's voice was different now, gentler, less commanding. "What do you want to know?" she asked carefully. "Tell me about your world. What is it like?" Despite her fear, Kethara found herself answering. "Zephyr is a garden world. Warm seas, gentle rains, forests that sing in the wind. We have no storms that destroy, no earthquakes that kill, no diseases that spread. Life there is peaceful." "No predators?" Foster asked. "What are predators?" Kethara replied. The question hit Foster like a punch. A species that didn't even have a word for predators. Animals that hunt other animals for food. Why would any creature want to hurt another? Kethara seemed genuinely confused. "There is always enough food, always enough space. Why cause pain?" Foster looked back at her team, then at the aliens. "Dr. Kethara, our world is very different from yours. Earth is what we call a death world. Everything there tries to kill us. Storms, earthquakes, diseases, predators. We've learned to fight back because we had to. We build our ships strong because space is dangerous. We bring weapons because threats are real." "But you are not here to threaten us?" Venthala asked quietly. "No," Foster said firmly. "We heard your distress signal. Someone was calling for help. Where we come from, when someone needs help, you give everything you have to save them. That's what we do." Tony Baker stepped forward slowly. "Ma'am, I'm sorry if I scared you earlier. When I talked about fixing your beacon, I just meant turning off the emergency signal. I didn't want to hurt your ship." Kethara stared at him. "You came here to fix our problems, not to steal our technology?" "We came here to save your lives," Baker said simply. "That's all." Price activated her communicator. "Captain Morrison, this is Dr. Price. I need to speak with you and Admiral Carter immediately. We have a situation that requires immediate attention." Minutes later, Captain Morrison's voice came through the ship's communication system. "Dr. Price, this is the captain. Admiral Carter is listening as well. What's your status?" "Sir, we have achieved first contact with an alien species called the Zephyrians. They are peaceful researchers from a world without violence. Our rescue fleet has accidentally terrified them because they interpret our ships as weapons of war." Silence filled the channel for several seconds. Then Admiral Carter's voice came through, calm and professional. Dr. Price, are you saying that our rescue mission has been perceived as an attack? Yes, ma'am. They come from a world where violence doesn't exist. To them, our warships look like an invasion force. They think we're here to conquer them. More silence. Then Carter spoke again. What do they actually need from us? Price looked at the aliens. Dr. Cathara, what do you need? What would help you most right now? Cathara thought carefully. We need our emergency beacon turned off, and we need you to promise that you will not attack our world. That's all? Foster asked. You don't need medical help? Engine repairs? Food? Or supplies? We have everything we need, Cathara said. We are researchers. We came here to study your people because we find you fascinating. Fascinating? Morrison's voice came through the speaker. In what way? You create beauty in the midst of violence, Cathara explained. Your music, your art, your stories. You come from a world that tries to kill you, yet you make things of wonder. We have never seen anything like it. Admiral Carter's voice softened. Dr. Cathara, this is Admiral Carter, commander of the human fleet. I want you to know that we mean you no harm. We came here because we thought you were dying. That is what your signal told us. We understand that now, Cathara said, and we are grateful. We did not know that anyone would come to help strangers. On our world, help is always available. We did not realize it was a gift that had to be earned. It doesn't have to be earned, Carter replied. We help because that's who we are. It's what humans do. Tony Baker approached the alien control panel carefully. Dr. Cathara, may I look at your emergency system? I think I can turn off the beacon without damaging anything. This time, Cathara nodded. Please. And thank you. Baker worked quickly and efficiently. Within minutes, the distress signal that had started everything finally went silent. There, he said with satisfaction. All fixed. Dr. Foster smiled, but this time she kept her teeth hidden. Dr. Cathara, would you be willing to visit our ship? We would love to learn about your people, and maybe we can teach you about ours. We would like that very much, Cathara said. Then she paused. But could you ask your ships to move back a little? They are very large and frightening. Admiral Carter's laugh came through the speaker. Of course. All ships. Pull back to a respectful distance, and power down all weapon systems. We're not in a combat zone. We're at a diplomatic meeting. As the human fleet moved to a less threatening formation, Dr. Cathara felt hope for the first time since the crisis began. Perhaps the Deathworlders were not monsters after all. Perhaps they were just people who had learned to be strong so they could protect the weak. And perhaps, she thought, her people and the humans could learn much from each other. Dr. Foster, she said, we would very much like to be friends. Foster smiled again, carefully keeping her expression gentle. We would like that too, Dr. Cathara. We would like that very much.